Hi there, my name is Jason Perkins. I'm an attorney that specializes in Georgia workers' compensation cases. I want to welcome you to another episode in my Georgia workers' compensation video series. In this series, I provide you with helpful information about the rules of Georgia's workers' compensation law and the benefits available to you under it. Today, I want to talk to you a question about settlement of your workers' compensation case. And specifically, I'm going to talk to you about whether you can take back your workers' compensation settlement. In other words, after you settle your case, can you change your mind later? Well, the answer is almost always you can't. Once you settle your case, it's final. As I've talked about in other videos in this series, when you're thinking about settlement, you really want to consider the timing of the settlement of your case and whether you have the information available to make a good decision about settlement at that point. Because once you settle your case, and a judge of the State Board of Workers' Compensation approves that settlement is almost always final. Well, let's talk about a couple of possible exceptions to that. The first is, in Georgia, and specifically under Georgia law, in a Georgia workers' compensation case, before the State Board of Workers' Compensation approves it, you almost always can take back your settlement. A settlement in Georgia is not final until a judge at the State Board of Workers' Compensation approves it. So if you've spoken with someone at the insurance company or with the insurance company's attorney and you've reached a tentative agreement on settlement, you've agreed to settle your case for, let's say, $30,000, and then you change your mind before the State Board of Workers' Compensation approves that settlement, you can back out of it. If you haven't actually signed paperwork, you can certainly back out of it. Even if you've signed paperwork, if that paperwork has not been approved by the State Board of Workers' Compensation, you can probably still back out of it. Now, you're going to need to take certain steps and reach out to the State Board of Workers' Compensation and make sure to withdraw your consent to that settlement before it's actually approved by the judge. But if you do that, then you've probably backed out of the settlement. Let's assume we're talking about a situation where a settlement has actually been approved by a judge at the State Board of Workers' Compensation. In this situation, it's very difficult to change your mind later. There may be some opportunity to do what's called a motion to set aside, something like that, in certain very limited cases. So it's not necessarily impossible, but I wouldn't recommend that you count on being able to back out of a settlement, because almost always the answer is going to be, once that settlement's been approved by a workers' compensation judge in a Georgia workers' compensation case, that you're probably not going to be able to back out of it. So if you end up having more medical treatment than you expected later, or it's more difficult for you to return to work, and you want to come back to the insurance company and say, hey, I want more money because I wasn't expecting that, you're probably not going to be able to do that in a situation where that settlement has actually been approved by a workers' compensation judge in a Georgia workers' compensation case. I hope you found this information helpful today. If you have, please let me know. The best way you can do that is by giving this video a thumbs up or by liking it. Now, if you want to find out more information about Georgia workers' compensation law, you can view all the videos from my Georgia workers' compensation video series on our Perkins Studdard Workers' Compensation YouTube channel. You can also subscribe there to be notified of future videos as they come out, because I generally publish about 2 new videos a week. If you've got some specific questions about your workers' compensation case, I think the best way to get those questions answered is by a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything, and there's really no obligation there. You can reach out to schedule one of those either by calling the phone number that's at the bottom of the screen, or by visiting our website, www.perkinslawtalk.com, and completing and submitting the consultation request form there. Thanks again for watching today, and I wish you the best of luck as you recover from your injury.